Is anyone at the Oconee County Jail there so we can speak to our client? Hello?
Yes.
Hey, we need to speak with Mr. Davis. Could we, is there a way that he could call the courtroom so I can speak with him?
Yeah.
I can give you the number.
You can go ahead.
404-612-2392.
All right.
Thank you. I'll be quick.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to begin our state all-purpose calendar shortly.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. Miss Grace, Mr. McLean, good morning. Sir, do
Morning.
we have the list of the PDs, or if you could, Mr. Doty sent it?
Yes, Mr. Jordan said he forwarded to you, Judge. Did you receive it?
Is it today? Sorry. If you have it, Miss Grace, could you send it to me, please?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
I'll send it to you, Judge.
All right,
So
let Mr. Jordan send it. Thank you. All right, we will commence with our state all-purpose calendar today. This is with the State Court of Fulton County. The state all-purpose calendar is a list of misdemeanor cases in which the matters have already been accused. The defendants have already received the bond and also been appointed counsel. Today, we are going to get a status of the case to see whether whether we are going to consider a plea offer, and if so, whether the defendant would like to enter a plea, and we will have a plea hearing. Otherwise, we will proceed with the issue of arraignment, in which we will accept a not guilty plea and have the case scheduled for trial. We may also address other matters such as bond modifications and so forth. If you are a defendant accused of one or more misdemeanor offense, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you choose to say during the course of this virtual proceeding, which is especially recorded and live streamed, then your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one of the attorneys from our public defender's office or our conflict defense list will represent you. Who do we have in courtroom 2 first? Mr. McLean, who's seated next to you? Probably need to unmute.
Unmuted.
Okay, position 12, Walker.
Walker.
Good morning, Your Honor. Position 12 is a negotiated plea and it is ready.
All right, thank you. This is State versus Jamal Walker, accused of willful obstruction of an officer, battery, domestic violence, and giving false name to a law enforcement officer. Case number 23 CR 002867J. Mr. Walker, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. For purposes of the plea, may I place you under oath? Mr. Walker, may I place you under oath?
Yes, ma'am.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the information you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Walker, good morning. Mr. Ian Walker, good morning. May I have your off terms, please?
Yes, Your Honor. It's going to be 12 months to serve, 32 days. Credit for time served, 16 days. Balance probated with the conditions of a FDIP course. No further contact with the victim, Ms. Shatima Pettiford. A stay away from the incident location, which is the Days Inn, located at 44998 Washington Road in East Point, Georgia. And I believe that is everything.
All right. Mr. McLean, do your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
That is correct, Your Honor. That is everything. Those are the terms we expected to hear. He asked the court to accept his negotiated plea of guilty while stipulating to those 3 elements, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Walker, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And I'm sorry?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And has anyone forced you, induced you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your response?
No, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Jamal Walker, if you decide to enter a guilty plea to these charges today, you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court and have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You will not be able to confront your accuser, to examine witnesses, challenge the evidence brought against you by the state of Georgia, and also to give up your right to have the prosecutor carry its burden to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count of willful obstruction of an officer, battery, domestic violence, and giving false information to an officer?
Plead guilty.
The sentence is 12 months to serve 32 days, credit for time served 16 days. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, then this will conclude your jail time. You will report to probation next Tuesday, which will be at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. You must report to that office before 3 p.m. next Tuesday. While on probation, you will complete a domestic violence program. It is a 24-week program, and you must begin that program within 60 days of being released. These classes must be paid for out of your own pocket. While you are out on probation, you are also not to return to the Days Inn at 4498 Washington Road in East Point, and you are to stay 200 yards away and not contact Ms. Shatima Pettiford. Do you have any questions about your sentence, sir?
No, ma'am.
All right, that concludes this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good to meet you.
Position number 9, Mr. Patterson is next.
This is State versus David Patterson, accused of simple battery from April 24th, 2023. Mr. Patterson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Mr. McLean, how are we proceeding?
This is negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Patterson, we are going to address a plea hearing, so may I place you under oath? Mr. Patterson, can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
All right. May I place you under oath for purposes of the plea?
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly, other right hand, yeah. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Ian Walker, yes, sir.
Yes, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 58 days, credit for time served 29 days, balance probated with the conditions of a behavioral health evaluation with any necessary treatment, 6 weeks of anger management, no further contact with the victim whose name is Christine Lee Drummond, and a stay away from the incident location, which is the which is the O'Hearn House located at 16 William H. Border Street.
Is this a rooming house of some sort?
It is a facility that I've been there personally. Your Honor, it is a facility for people with certain issues, and it is a large multi-story building that has rehab programs in it.
Was he a candidate or a patient there at one time?
He was.
And the
Okay.
victim is an employee there.
All right. Okay. And Mr. McLean, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We stipulate to all three, and he does accept those terms, Your Honor.
Mr. Patterson, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your response?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood everything that's been going on so far?
Yes.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are not to return to this location while you're on probation?
Yes.
Is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
No.
And has it been explained to you that if you decide to plead guilty to this matter, your case will be closed and sent to probation, and that you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court and challenge this charge in a court of law?
Yes.
Yes.
You understand.
Yes, I understand.
All right. All right. So if you don't understand my question, you need to say you don't understand. Don't wait for your attorney to respond for you. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
All right. Mr. Patterson, you will not be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, be in a courtroom to argue your case in front of a judge or jury, to challenge the evidence brought against you, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you willing to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to one count or simple battery?
Guilty.
Are you certain?
Yes.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 58 days, credit for time served 29 days. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, your jail time is concluded. You'll be released and placed on probation. You must report to the probation office next Tuesday. And that will be at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. You must report there before 3 p.m. While you're on probation, you will complete what we call a BHET, a behavioral evaluation, and submit yourself to any treatment that's required. This must be done at your expense. You must also complete 6 weeks of anger management classes. The school where you attend these classes can be recommended to you by your probation officer. Do you understand?
Yes.
You cannot return to the burn house at 16 William H. Border Street. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
And you cannot have any contact with Christine Lee Drummond. You have to stay 200 yards away from this person. Do you have any questions, sir?
No.
That concludes this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position number 5, Oconee County, can go ahead.
I'm waiting on An ASG, okay. If ASG Young could, I'm gonna send a message in the chat regarding position 5.
All right, is position 5 at the jail court's iPhone or Oconee County Jail?
Oconee County Jail.
All right, thank you. I am addressing Joe Robert Davis. Mr. Davis, if that's your name, please raise your right hand. All right, thank you. Mr. Davis, my name is Judge Lal. You can put your hand down, sir. Can you see me on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, you have a Fulton County State criminal case against you under case number 23 CR 002967J. You've been accused of battery, family violence, and cruelty in the 3rd degree from a March 2nd, 2023 incident. I'd like to remind you that these are criminal charges against you, so you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you choose to say during this virtual proceeding that is being recorded and live streamed, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. And may I ask again, who is representing Mr. Davis?
Good morning, Your Honor. That'll be me.
All right, Mr. Dodis, who is located in courtroom 2. Mr. Davis, can you see your attorney? He's in courtroom 2. He's waving his right hand.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, he's the gentleman in the gray suit. All right. Mr. Dodis, how are we proceeding on position 5?
Yes, Your Honor. I had the opportunity to speak with my client this morning. I would request a 1-week reset for Mr. Davis. I was speaking to ASG Young, and it's not clear. My understanding is they haven't had contact with the victim, and to accept an offer, we would be asking for no further violent contact. So I would ask for a 1-week reset so that Mr. Young has an opportunity to reach out and see if that could be part of a negotiated offer.
All right, you're asking for a 1-week reset, and what was that about contact?
Your Honor, Mr. Davis, we received an offer for Mr. Davis that included no further contact. After speaking with Mr. Davis, my understanding is he's the primary provider for his family. There's been a significant cooling off period, and I have not had contact with the victim, but we would like to know if he would be welcome back into the home, provided all other conditions of probation are met. So we would just ask for that 1-week reset so that Mr. Young has the opportunity to reach out.
All right. Any objection, Mr. Young?
Yeah, I don't have any objection to that.
All right. Have you had an opportunity to reach out to the alleged victim?
Oh, our victim advocates have attempted. We are having trouble making contact with the victim in this case, and because of such, the state would be asking for that no violent contact. I mean, no further contact. So that's why PD Doty is asking for the reset, because the state would be disinclined to agree to a no further violent contact without contact with the victim.
All right. Position number 5 is reset to I think it's May 30th, isn't it? All right.
Yes, Judge, it's May 30th.
All right, Mr. Davis, your case is going to be readdressed next Tuesday at 9 a.m. in the same manner, this virtual format, and during which time we will get information as to whether the state will consider amending the no further contact to no further violent contact.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Powers, Ryan Powers on the add-on calendar.
All right. On the add-on calendar, I have Hayward and Strouder.
So there were a few add-on calendars, Your Honor, but
Alright.
he's
Let me see.
position 2 on that calendar that had 5 positions, I believe.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's position 2. This is case number 22 CR 006-282F. We are addressing Ryan Powers. Mr. Powers appears to be in his room. Mr. Powers, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me on the screen?
Yes, see you.
All right, my name is Judge Law, and we are addressing your case. Do you understand, sir?
Yeah,
All right. Your case is one in which you've been charged with battery from a September 16, 2022 incident. Do you understand, sir?
yes,
And you have a right to remain silent. Don't discuss your case and the facts of your case, because anything you say, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and your attorney is on a separate screen. His name is Mr. Dodis, Angelo Dodis. Do you see him? I don't know if we have to swipe the screen for Mr. Powers to see Mr. Dodis. Officer, if you're holding the iPhone, would you be able to swipe the screen so he sees his attorney? Yeah, it's an iPhone, so they have to probably swipe it unless they've got multiple views on the screen.
It's on.
All right, Mr. Powers, do you see your attorney? He's dressed in a gray suit. He's got a black mask on.
Hey, Mr. Powers.
hey,
All right. So, Mr. Dodis, how are we proceeding with Mr. Powers?
Thank you, Your Honor. Attorney Howard reset this case from last Thursday to this calendar for a possible plea. I wanted to speak with Mr. Powers yesterday, but due to a door malfunction in the zone, I was unable to get to him. And based on jail court's iPhone, it looks like there's still an issue with that door. So my understanding is it will be a plea, but if Mr. Walker is handling this case, if you could tell Mr. Powers the terms of the plea, it should just be a time served offer.
Yes, so the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 365 days, credit for time served, 244 days. There will be no balance.
And so I would just ask Mr. Powers if you want to accept that offer and close out this case.
sure, yes.
Okay, do I have your permission to fill out that paperwork for you, sir? Okay, thank you. And
Thank you.
All right, then we will proceed with the plea hearing. Mr. Powers, if you can hear me, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes,
Thank you. Mr. Walker, you've already indicated what the plea offer is, and Mr. Dodis, and we've heard your client. Are you comfortable that he's proceeding with this, he's accepting the terms?
yes, Your Honor, based on my communications with Attorney Howard, I'm comfortable. I'm sure that he understands the situation, and we do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for the purpose of this plea.
All right. And Mr. Powers, have you consumed any alcohol or medicine recently? Mr. Powers, repeat your answer.
no, ma'am.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Okay. And your attorney is Mr. Dodis. You've just had a minimal contact with him. Are you satisfied with the representation of the Public Defender's Office?
Yes,
And is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
no,
And Mr. Powers, if you decide to plead guilty to this charge, this will conclude your case. But you will also not get an opportunity to go back to court and have a trial in front of a judge or a jury to be able to challenge the charge brought against you, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
yes,
How do you plead to one count of simple battery?
I plead guilty.
I'm sorry, it was battery. How do you plead to battery?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 365 days, credit for time served 244 days. Your jail time is concluded and the balance is suspended. That concludes your case. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Add on position number 3, Robertson.
Okay. All right, this is Mr. Robinson seated next to Mr. Dotis, is that correct?
Ms. Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Robinson's case is 23 CR 002-840J. This is Ricardo Antoine Robinson. Mr. Robinson has been accused of the following offenses: discharge of a firearm at or near a public highway or street. The alleged incident occurred on May 6, 2023. And Mr. Robinson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Dotis. And Mr. Dotis, how are we proceeding?
Yes, Your Honor, we are entering a plea of not guilty at this time and would like to address bond.
All right. And are you filing a waiver of arraignment, or would you like me to arraign the case?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll be waiving arraignment and I'll file that as soon as we leave the courtroom.
All right. And presently, the bond was set on May 8th, 2023. And just 1 second, please, I'm retrieving it. And this was a bond amount of $3,000 set on May 3rd, and no further contact with Dante Pounds. All right. And Mr. Dotis, you may proceed.
If pretrial would like to, would you want pretrial to go first, Your Honor? Or?
That'll be fine. Ms. Tyson, good morning. May I have?
Good morning,
GCIC
Judge.
Good morning. May I have a brief GCIC on Mr. Robinson?
Yes, the defendant has 7 arrest cycles beginning in 1996. In the last, let's see, I'm gonna look for the last 10 years. He's not a convicted felon. He has no felony convictions. And last arrest was actually 2018, April of 2018 for battery, misdemeanor battery. And it looks like no disposition was listed for that, and it's out of Fulton County.
Mhm.
Yep, so no convictions, misdemeanor or felony within the last 10 years, and no felony convictions at all.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Dotis?
And I'd also give Mr. Walker the opportunity if he wants to go before me, but I'm ready. If
Well, it's your motion, Mr. Dotis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Robinson is 44 years old. He's been in custody the past 17 days on a $3,000 surety bond that he's unable to afford. As we noted from pretrial, no felony convictions, 1 arrest in the last 5 years, but no convictions. I didn't hear any VOPs or FTAs. I have a good phone number for Mr. Robinson, and he's a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia. I also have a few friends as contact information that are in the area that can assist Mr. Robinson. I will provide Mr. Robinson with a list of housing options to help him get back on his feet if given a bond that he can afford. He's currently working as a certified security guard with Mark I Security. And his understanding is that that job is waiting for him and he can go back if released, so that he can find and afford housing and make sure that he can make the pretrial. At this point in time, Mr. Robinson cannot afford any monetary amount of bond, so we would just request a signature bond.
Does the job require him to be armed?
My understanding is no.
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor. This bond was set by Judge Morrow on May 8th, as the court has noted. In this case, the defendant was captured on a Ring doorbell. At that time, he was residing at a rooming house. He stepped out onto the front patio or the front porch and discharged a firearm into the air. Upon speaking with the defendant, he advised to the law enforcement officer that he shot the gun into the air because the dogs in the neighborhood were barking loudly. As we all know, bullets don't have eyes, they don't have names on it, and what goes up must comes down. Is very dangerous. We have a severe gun problem in Fulton County that the solicitor's office is taking very seriously. That is why the recommendation is what it is. There has been no significant changes in circumstances, and based upon the defendant's actions, his criminal history, I feel as though that $3,000 surety bond is more than reasonable.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Dotis?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Bond's gonna be set at $1,000. It is a surety bond. No contact, I'm not sure what's the issue with Dante Pounds, but at the present time, also no weapons, no firearms, no illegal drugs, and definitely no alcohol either.
And we are also asking for a stay away from the incident location, 39.
Does he live there?
Where it was a boarding house. I'm not sure what the status is now, but we did speak with the landlord and he's fearful for the other tenants in the boarding house.
So it's not allowed back at that location? Is that your?
The landlord desires that he not return. That is correct.
Right, Mr. Dotis, there's a stay away. Does your client have any problem with that?
We discussed that possibility, Your Honor.
All right, then he's going to stay away from the rooming house in question. He may return one time only with a police officer to retrieve his belongings, except firearms. All those firearms have to be surrendered to the authorities. And since he cannot personally retrieve them, Mr. Walker, it's probably up to you to have law enforcement retrieve those weapons or have the landlord surrender them to the authorities.
Okay.
I don't have any.
The firearm was already seized and was placed in evidence.
Submit the proposed order to Ms. Grace.
Mr.
Thank you,
Walker,
Your
can I get that stairway address again?
Yes, 1 second. It is 3946 Esther Drive. And to answer the court's inquiry earlier, Dante Pounds is the landlord.
I see, okay.
And there's no further contact with him?
That's
Yes,
correct.
all right. Do we have any more cases on the add-on?
I think so.
Yes, we do, I believe. They may be at ACDC. Do you have any more?
I have someone on the jail court iPhone. May I know who is that?
Position 4, Mr. Crawford.
Mr. Crawford. All right, he's on the main calendar. Courtroom 2, your courtroom is very empty. Do we have anyone else coming there? Okay, Mr. Dotis is the only person in there. All right. We have a gentleman at the jail court iPhone. This is State versus Robert Crawford. Mr. Crawford, if you can hear me, please raise your right hand. Okay. Can you see me, sir?
Yeah.
Speak up, please.
Yeah.
Okay. So the iPhone apparently is a bit of a distance from Mr. Crawford. You can put your hand down, sir.
Come up here, scoot down. Or get on your knees. There you go.
All right, that's better. Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Just a few more moments. This is State versus Robert Crawford, accused of battery from April 29, 2023. His case number is 23 CR 0027449E. Mr. Crawford, you have a right to remain silent about your case. Do not comment on the facts or circumstances. Otherwise, anything you say can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Dotis. Mr. Dotis is in courtroom 2. Mr. Dotis, if you could unmute and just announce your presence, because I don't know if you are appearing on the screen on the iPhone.
Mr. Crawford, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and Mr. Dotis, how are we proceeding with Mr. Crawford?
Yes, Your Honor. This was a hold for announcement. I was planning on having a social worker in the room to do a breakout with Mr. Crawford. There was a lockdown at the jail yesterday when I tried to visit, so I was unable to do it yesterday. This isn't what's holding Mr. Crawford at this time. So since we don't have a social worker in the room, I just request a 1-week reset.
Case reset to May 30th at 9 a.m. Mr. Crawford, your attorney and a social worker will be contacting you to have an interview before we can readdress your case. Do you understand, sir?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. That concludes this case.
See you on the 30th, man.
Thank you. Officer on the jail court iPhone, do you have any more cases from your location?
No, I have to go to 5 North for my
Okay.
next.
For SAP?
Yes.
All right, we'll see you then. Thank you.
All right.
Courtroom 2, do we have any other cases awaiting us right now? Or anyone en route to courtroom 2?
I think we're just waiting on the roaming officers and for ACDC to come online.
All right. All right, I guess we are in recess until we have either Officer Norris appear on the jail court iPhone or folks at Union City appear on here. Okay. While we are waiting, Mr. Walker or Mr. Young and Mr. Dotis, can we just go down the calendar and see how we are proceeding, okay? Just to add the add-on with 5 cases. How are we proceeding on Angel Long?
Yes, Your Honor. For Angel Long, I will note she's also position 7 on the SAP calendar. For position 1 on the add-on, that will be a plea of not guilty. No need to address bond there. For her all-purpose calendar position 7, I understand there's a DA transfer pending, but we would request.
I have an announcement on the DA's office did not accept it, so that's why I put in the chat. We still would need to address our position today.
All right, so position 7 on Angel Long, we'll be addressing that case. I don't know whether she'll be brought over, but you let me know what you want to do. And on her position on the add-on calendar, position number 1, the defense is entering a not guilty plea. Mr. Dotis, will you file a waiver of arraignment as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And if, I'm not sure what ASG is handling that position, but if I could please have an updated offer.
So number 2 was a plea powers, and this is still on the add-on with 5 cases. And number 3, Robinson, was a waiver of arraignment and bond modified to $1,000 with conditions. And so just to address Mr. Robinson for a brief moment, he has a case 18 CR 004050 with Judge Besson. I don't know what is the status of that case. Does it need to come with us for the next SAP calendar?
I would think that's a good idea, Your Honor.
Not a good idea?
I said it is a good idea.
Oh, okay.
I agree.
Can you give me the case number again, Judge?
It's with Judge Besson, so you have to put an alphabet designation. I can't remember whether it was E, but it's
J, but just give me the number.
18 CR 004050. Is that coming up? Or maybe
CR 004050.
I think that was the number that I picked up from his booking from the 2018 battery case.
Yes, and it's with Judge Judge Morrison.
Morrison, okay. And is that still open, dormant?
No, ma'am, it's closed.
Okay. It's closed because there was a plea or a disposition?
Yes, it was non-pros.
Okay.
11/5 of 2018.
All right. Thank you. Then moving on to position 4 on the add-on, Kevin Shed. How are we proceeding?
Attorney McLean stepped out. That's his case. My understanding is this was a reset and should just be a negotiated plea.
All right. We'll put down as a possible negotiated plea. And Strouder?
Strouder, again, that was Attorney McLean's case. We were waiting on an offer. I believe he'll need to convey that as soon as he's either on a phone or on Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
And
the other add-on, we had Timia Hayward.
Yes, Your Honor. Tamaya Hayward, she was reset from Friday's calendar, the makeup calendar that that Your Honor graciously helped us with. We just asked to address bonds on that case.
All
and
right.
plea of not guilty.
And was the other Strouder with the same Strouder or a different Strouder?
Yes, that's the same Strouder. I believe that's just the attached FTA for that underlying charge.
Okay. Then moving on to the SAP calendar, Armstrong,
We're waiting for ACDC to come online.
right?
My understanding is Officer Milton is finishing up with another calendar.
All right, the same announcement for position 2. Position 3, Avery,
Yes,
Claiborne Avery.
Your Honor, we'll be. Hold on one second. Yes, for Mr. Avery, that'll be a not guilty. We are gonna waive arraignment, but he did want to be present. I know the jail staff is roaming, so as soon as he's on, we'll address that shortly.
Is that your client? Will you be filing a waiver of arraignment?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll be filing a waiver.
All right, so, and then we will address bond. Position 4,
And
we reset it to May 30th.
yeah,
And position, yeah,
my apologies. To go back to position 3, there's no need to address bond. Bond is moved. That's not what's holding him. My
okay.
apologies.
So do we need to address Mr. Avery at all?
Mr. Avery did want to be present to hear me say not guilty and to waive his arraignment. He did
All
not
right.
waive his presence.
All right, that will be subject to whether the jail brings him over.
Correct, Your Honor. Thank you.
Position 4 and 5 are reset to May 30th at 9 a.m. Position 6, Itavius Greer.
Your Honor, that will be a not guilty and waiver of arraignment and presence, so no need to address him.
Okay. Position 7, Angel Long, I think that's the one that's also on the add-on, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Position 8, Samuel Morgan.
And that one was also not accepted by the DA's office, but I just sent you the offer, Mr. Dodes.
All right, so
I have position 7 offer. I don't have anything for position 8.
Let me check the chat again. Okay, I forgot to hit send. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
position 9, Patterson was a plea. Position 10, Jesse Smith.
And that is Attorney McLean's case. My understanding is that he is in the state of Tennessee federal custody, and we're still working to get in contact with his federal public defender.
Okay, I'll have Mr. McLean announce what he wants to do. So Mr. Young or Mr. Walker, Jesse Smith's case is from 2016, just FYI.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And position 11, Ricardo Vega Carrion. Is that Mr. McLean's
That's
case?
Mr.
That's
McLean.
Mr. McLean's case. On the announcements, he listed not guilty. I'll let him address that.
All right. And position 12 was a plea. All right, folks, it's 9:46 a.m. We've gone over the 3 calendars, and I don't think we have a probation calendar, and we don't have a competency calendar, we don't have a DV reset matter. So Mr. McLean is still busy talking to his clients?
He is back in the room. No, I'm not talking to anybody that's making a comment.
He's still talking. He's got that rushed, I need to talk to someone look. Okay, so we'll be in recess until ACDC reappears, or we get some of the other clients in the courtroom too. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. You do?
We need to let in 4 North onto Zoom because Mr. Shed has got his smiling face on camera.
Okay. And Your Honor? Or if the host is on, we need to let the 4 North jail iPhone in the Zoom.
Sorry, what was the announcement?
My apologies, Your Honor. The 4 North jail iPhone is requesting permission to be let into the Zoom. I'm not sure who the host is.
Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan,
Judge, he stepped away. What was that Mr. Dotis was stating?
the jail court iPhone, remember the Officer Norris with the little iPhone that he had at different locations? They are in the waiting room, waiting to be let back into the Zoom.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Crystal.
All right. 4 North, we have you on Zoom. If you could unmute and identify, please.
This is add-on 3, Mr. Shed.
This would be Mr. Shed.
I'm sorry, add-on position number 4.
Oh, Mr. Strouder. Okay. All right. Are you Cedric Trevon Strouder?
No, ma'am.
All right.
No, this is Mr. Shed, Mr. Kevin Shed.
Okay. Oh, Kevin Shed. Okay. Just 1 second, please. All right. This is position 4. Are you Kevin Gerard Shed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Shed, my name is Judge Lal, and we're going to be addressing your case today with the State Court of Fulton County. Your case number is 20 CR 000-304A. In that particular case, you are charged with simple assault, domestic violence, and simple battery, family violence from January 30th, 2020. It appears that you are currently in custody due to a bond surrender. This was a case assigned to Judge Roth. There was an arrest bench warrant issued on April 19th, 2022, with regards to a failure to appear. So presently, Mr. Shed, I'd like to remind you that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of your case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Michael McLean. He is seated in courtroom 2. Do you see him in the courtroom 2? Mr. Shed, do you see your attorney in courtroom 2? He's waving his hand.
Yes, ma'am.
The gentleman in the with the beard. Do you see him?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's going to be your attorney. All right, Mr. McLean, how are we proceeding with Mr. Shed?
Your Honor, today we have a negotiated plea. We are stipulating to the 3 elements and asking the court to accept it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Shed, may I place you under oath for purposes of the plea? Do you solemnly swear the information you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Mr. Walker, what's the plea recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 40 days, credit for time served 20 days, balance probated with the conditions of a FBIP course, no further contact with the victim, Zabriana Shed, and a stay away from the incident location, 415 Fairburn Road.
That was 416 or 414?
415, 415.
415. Fairburn Road, is that
Yes,
in
sir.
Atlanta or Fairburn?
Let me pull up the incident.
Fairburn Road would be in Atlanta.
Atlanta, thank you. All right, was there anything else, Mr. Walker?
Nothing from the state.
All right, and the defense has stipulated to the factual basis, venue, and ID. Mr. Shed, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Sorry, pardon me?
Have you understood everything that's been going on so far in your case?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with the services of the Public Defender's Office?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to take this plea and enter a plea of guilty to the charges brought against you, you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court and have a trial so that you could challenge the charges. You will not be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the state's evidence, present your own defenses if you choose to do so, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple assault and simple battery to both in family violence?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead?
I plead guilty.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 40 days, credit for time served 20 days. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, you should be released and you must report to probation next Tuesday at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. Once you report to probation, they will place you and you will be required to complete a domestic violence program. This is a 24-week program, and you would have to pay for those classes out of your own pocket. You must begin those classes within 60 days of being released. You are to have no contact with Zebriana Shed, and you cannot return to 415 Fairburn Road in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Your
Mr.
Honor, I
Green?
do have a request.
Sir?
The FVIP course, as we know, is rather expensive. It goes above $800, $900 over the course of the 5.5 months. He understands he is not to skip a class or they'll kick him out and he'll have to pay for it all over again. It's a big mess. So I wondered if Your Honor could give him any kind of break on any fees in the meantime.
I will waive his fees for the months of June, July, and August.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So through the end of August, then he'll have to start paying probation fees from September 1st onwards.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shed. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, 4 North, do we have anyone else?
Do you have anyone else?
Position 8. Mr. Morgan.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I need to consult very briefly with Mr. Morgan, let him know that the posture of the case as of last night, which was DA transfer pending perhaps, is not that now and that they have made him an offer.
I believe Mr. Walker has announced that it won't be a transfer and he has emailed the plea offer. He may have sent it to Mr. Dotis. Mr. Walker?
I did, but I can copy in the chat to.
No, we have the offer. I just need to.
Okay.
I just need to convey it to him. We've
Okay.
had the offer. Thank you.
Mr. Jordan, could you place courtroom 2 and 4 North in a breakout, please? Miss Grace?
Okay, Judge.
Thank you. Officer at 4 North, you would have to join, you have to click on the screen to join the breakout. Mr. Morgan, please tell the officer next to you that they would need to click on the screen to join the breakout. Otherwise, the host, okay, they put him in a breakout. All right, Mr. McLean, all right. We'll be in recess until they return from the breakout. Thank you. All right, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, this is going to be a not guilty. We would waive formal reading of the accusation. We have copy. Bond is moot because of another matter. And
Okay,
that's all there is there, Your Honor. If you would just tell him what the maximum punishment is and tell him to watch out for court notices, that would be super.
that would be good. Mr. Samuel Morgan, in case number 23 CR 002-875B. Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, I'll let him know.
All right, 4 North, if you could unmute, please.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Mr. Morgan, you have been accused in case number 23 CR 002-875B of battery family violence back in May 9th, 2023. This particular case has been formally accused and you are charged with this misdemeanor offense. You are legally presumed innocent of the charge, and upon your entry of a not guilty plea, the case will be scheduled for trial. At the time of the trial, the prosecution would have the complete burden to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt and overcome your legal presumption of innocence. If the state prevails and you are convicted of this offense, you could be sentenced to up to a year in prison and or up to $1,000 fine. Given this information, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
All right, sir, I accept your not guilty plea. The case has been arraigned and it will be further notice for trial. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Position 11.
Thank you.
Your Honor, that also is a not guilty. We waive a formal reading of the accusation. We have a copy. And he plans on being on bond. He plans on hiring private counsel. And so if the court would just arraign him and let him know what the watch out for court dates in the mail and let him know what the maximum punishments are.
All right, and Mr. McLean, does your client speak English comfortably?
Oh, yes, Your Honor, he certainly
All
does.
right, thank you. This is State versus Ricardo Vega Carrion, case number 23 CR 002-847F. Mr. Vega, you have been formally accused of DUI, driving under the influence of alcohol, less safe, and improper and erratic lane change from a traffic incident of May 6, 2023. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney and you're represented by Mr. McLean. Upon, as I've said, you've been accused of these 2 traffic offenses, and upon your entry of a not guilty plea, the case will be scheduled for trial. At the time of the trial, the prosecution has the complete burden to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt and overcome your legal presumption of innocence. If the state prevails, you could be found guilty and sentenced to up to a year in prison and or up to $1,000 fine for each convicted offense. Given this information, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
All right, sir, I accept your not guilty plea. And if once you do make bond, please remember to comply with the conditions of your bond and also to maintain a current mailing address with the court so that you do not miss out on your next court dates. When you retain private attorney, please make sure your attorney files an entry of appearance so that all notices will be sent to him or her as well. All right, thank you, sir. The case is further notice for trial.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
could we request the host let ACDC into the Zoom session?
We are now, Judge. We're doing it now.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else at 4 North? Well, everybody's left, so I guess not. For North, do you have anyone else?
Your Honor, if you give us a couple of minutes, we'll be headed to 3 South for the rest
Okay.
of the calendar.
Not a problem, not a problem.
All right.
We're gonna be connecting with the South Annex right now. Thank you.
All right.
I think he said 3 South too.
Oh, he's going to 3 South, but AC/DC is trying to connect to audio.
Correct.
I don't know if this is, hang on. Mr. Jordan or Miss Grace, is there a way we can contact AC/DC and let them know that they're having audio connection issues?
Okay, Judge.
Thank you.
Judge, it looks like the other jail courts lost their internet connection. I mean, they're reconnecting.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jordan, what was that you said?
So it looks like all the jail courts lost their internet connections because it said they're reconnecting. All 3 of them are connecting.
Courtroom 2 is still in connection. 4 North was in connection. Looks like South Annex may have an issue. Mr. I see 5 North and 3 South also connecting. Okay, 3 South is connected.
Okay, we're ready.
All right, 3 South, Deputy Milton.
No, this is Officer Blunt. I have position number, add-on number 5, Mr. Cedric Strouder.
All right, we have Mr. Strada on 2 add-on calendars. Who is Mr. Strada's attorney? Is that you, Mr. McLean, or Mr. Dodis?
It is I, Your Honor, Mr. McLean, and it's pronounced Schroeder, by the way. And he is doing a negotiated plea today, Your Honor.
In which case? Ending in 213J?
The one that's not the FTA.
Okay, all right, so I assume the FTA will then be null prost?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, so we are addressing Cedric Struder, is that correct? Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Schroeder.
Struder, okay. Mr. Struder, my name is Judge Lal. Can you see me on the screen?
Yes, I see.
Okay, your case number is 21 CR 006-213J. You've also got a separate failure to appear case. In the case ending in 21 CR 6213J, you have been accused of criminal trespass from November 9th, 2021. I'd like to remind you that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and you're represented by Mr. Michael McLean with the Public Defender's Office. I understand that you'll be taking a plea today. May I place you under oath for purposes of the plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right, you may put your hand down. Mr. Walker, what's the plea offer?
Yes, Your Honor, it's 12 months to serve, 82 days, credit for time served, 42 days, balance probated with the conditions of a behavioral health evaluation and any necessary treatment. Also, no further contact with the victim, whose name is Joelle Richardson.
Joelle Richardson, okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, could you tell me the stairway again, please? Was there one?
It's not an address.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And if we proceed with this plea to the conclusion, the state will now cross the FTA matter, which is 23 FTA 000334. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, that's correct. If there's no stay away because this incident took place in the middle of a street intersection, so that's
right.
not be
And you-
necessary.
And you stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID?
We do stipulate that, Your Honor. I've explained to Mr. Stroder that the public defender, the prosecutor, the court, the police all have different roles. They're not all the same person. It's not all the system against him. So understanding that, I believe he is entering his guilty plea with stipulations as to venue and factual basis. And he wishes to go forward.
All right, thank you, Mr. McLean. Mr. Stroder, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far? Have you understood the proceedings so far? You need
Yes,
to-
ma'am.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the legal services you've received?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to enter a guilty plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to enter this guilty plea to this charge, you will not have the opportunity to go back to court and have a trial. There will be no chance to confront your accuser, to examine witnesses, to challenge the state's evidence, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of criminal trespass?
Guilty.
Repeat.
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 82 days, credit for time served 42 days. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, you should be released, but you must report to probation next Tuesday before 3 p.m. at 132 Mitchell Street. While you are in probation, you will complete a behavioral health evaluation and any treatment that's required. You will do so at your expense, and the evaluation must be conducted within 60 days of being released from the jail. At all times while you're on probation, you have to have no contact with Joelle Richardson. You have to stay 200 yards away from this person. Anything else, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, I have prepared a note reminding Mr. Stroder to be sure to report to probation by 3 p.m. on the reporting day, May 30th, and that to be sure to get a behavioral health evaluation, which may or may not recommend treatment. Hopefully, they will say there's no treatment necessary, but if they say there is treatment necessary, treatment will be required, Mr. Stroder. So I'm going to bring this note to you on now when court is over today. This note also reminds you of the cost of probation service.
I'm sorry, just 1 second. Repeat, Mr. McLean, the note also does what?
Reminds him of the $49 fee for probation supervision. I give him a $100 to $250 estimate for the possible cost of the behavioral health evaluation. Treatment, I don't know what it would cost. I've noted he should shop well for these things, and perhaps Grady would be the best source. So I'll bring this note to you. I also, Mr. Stroder, the contact sheet that we turn into probation with your contact information, I will bring you a Xerox copy of what I'm turning in on your behalf, so that you'll have no question as to where probation is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Mr. Stroder, do you have any questions about your sentence?
No.
All right, that concludes this case. Mr. Walker, you'll submit the null pros on the FTA matter, please. Thank
Yes,
you.
Your Honor.
And Ms. Grace has put her email in the chat. 3 South, do you have any other cases?
No, this concludes 3 South.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good day. South Annex, Deputy Milton, who do we have, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Before you is Ms. Armstrong, position add-on 1.
Unmute. You got it.
I think we have on the SAP calendar. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. This
I'm
is
sorry.
Yeah, this is Mamie Armstrong, case number 22 CR 006-337H. Ms. Armstrong's been accused of loitering and prowling, allegedly on April 11th, 2021. Ms. Armstrong, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say during this virtual proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you today is Mr. Dodis. He is in courtroom 2. Do you see him on the screen? Yes, I think you do. All right. Mr. Dodis, how are we proceeding in this case?
Yes, Your Honor. For position 1, there are 2 cases with similar charges. So I'm just going to read the case number 22 CR 006337H. We're prepared to go forward with a negotiated plea and do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for the purpose of that plea.
Yeah, you're correct. There are 2 cases, but I'm not sure about the case. And Miss Armstrong does have a second case. I forgot to note that. Ending in 6479F. Is that correct?
Yes, so she does have a second case. My apologies. We addressed this earlier. I should have readdressed it. We will enter a plea of not guilty and waive arraignment. We need to do some additional discovery on that case.
On both cases?
Just on position 2. Position 1 will be a negotiated plea to resolve that.
Position 1's a negotiated plea. Position 2, you're going to waive arraignment. Did you want that reset or just further notice for trial?
I think at this point in time, after speaking with ASG Young, this isn't holding her. I would just ask to put it on the jail jury calendar.
Okay. All right, so we're going to do a plea hearing on position 1 regarding the loitering and prowling charge from Mr. Dodis. Both charges stem from an April 11, 2021 incident. One happens to allegedly occur at a from a location at 1815 Hembry Road.
Yes, Your Honor.
Another one is 3515 Naturally Fresh Boulevard in Atlanta.
Correct, Your Honor. We have confusion on why there are 2 unrelated charges on the same day. We are prepared to resolve the one at 1815 Hembry. Based on my looking at the discovery and speaking with Miss Armstrong, I'm confused why she was accused on the second case. So that's why we need additional time. And with the SAP calendar, I think that an attorney in the trial division would have more chance to get into the discovery on that.
All right. Miss Grace, if you can look at position number 2, I've got an entry down there. Do you know what that's about?
I know how it happened.
You say that. On position number 2, correct, Judge?
Yeah, I've got an entry on May 23rd, and I was curious to know what that references.
Because they were stating that she was taking a plea, that's all. That can be voided out, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
So in position now, and the reason I'm not keen on doing a piecemeal plea and then having one case go, because they both seem to occur on the same day on in 2 different locations. Mr. Young, can you enlighten us on this?
Yes, Your Honor. The first case, I believe, happened. Give me just a moment. The first case was they were in a parking lot around 3:30 a.m. on 411 in a parking lot. They weren't supposed to be there at a business while it was closed. A business employee said he observed the defendant exit the vehicle and began looking into vehicles. The second incident occurred later on that day at around 12:30 PM, according to the report, where she, among others, entered the parking lot. It was a joint effort by various law enforcement agencies in reference to possible street racing once they entered the parking lot of 3515 Naturally Fresh Boulevard. I believe that's a Target. All the subjects were taken into custody and as a large group. Ms. Armstrong was a part of that group based on what I'm reading in the warrants in the report.
In the second case.
In the second case.
All right.
Your Honor, if just my confusion why we wanted additional time is my reading of it on the second case is it says on April 11th at 1 a.m. For these this loiter prowl related to street racing. All subjects were detained and transferred to the Fulton County Jail. But then on position 1, it says that she was caught around 3:06 a.m. that same morning for loiter prowl at a location nowhere in that vicinity. If Your Honor would be more comfortable resetting both cases so we can figure this out, I understand. But at this point in time, after speaking with Ms. Armstrong, she wanted to resolve one case, but the other case she says that she has no involvement with.
All right, would the state like to have another look at the alleged facts in the second case? Because I'm perplexed myself. And I mean, I don't have a problem taking the plea. Position number 1 is currently scheduled for a jury trial before Judge Taylor. And if she takes a plea on position number 1, that closes the case out, but that leaves case number 2 in limbo. And I'm looking at position number 2, and I see where the state is indicating at 12 o'clock later the same day. So if I'm looking, well, she's got other matters holding her at the jail as well. So these are the 2 cases that with the state court.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the second case again, and also just spoke with the ASG who handled the case previously. Even he said that it was 2 incidents. The first happened at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the second one did occur at 12 p.m. later that day. If there's a document that says that makes it seem like they both happened in the AM hours, then there's an error on one of those. But I'm about to pull it up now and look at it.
Would be not 9 hours. All right. Not 3 hours.
1815 Henry Road, the citation issued by the Alpharetta Police Department indicates this was at 6:05 a.m. at 1815, 6:05 a.m. on April 11th. The warrant says at 1815 Henry Road on or about 3:06 a.m. All right, so there you go. The warrant says between 3 and 4 a.m. The arrest citation says at 6:05 a.m. All right, now let me see if this additional electronic warrant helps. At 3515 Naturally Fresh Boulevard, allegedly occurred on, the warrant says, on April 11th between 1 a.m. and just 1 a.m. on April 11th. With regards to, I guess, a bunch of cars and people allegedly lane drag, individuals detained and so forth. So I'm a little perplexed, Mr. Young. Position number 2, she was allegedly at Naturally Fresh Boulevard on April 11th at 1 a.m. according to the warrant. And then
And I'm
That's
sorry to
correct.
interrupt, Reiner. I'm looking at the incident report. It's my inclination that they put the wrong time on the warrant. The incident report says 6 p.m. It says the time reported April the 11th at 6 p.m. or 1800 hours, which would be
I don't have the incident report.
correct.
The
That's why
intake documents, so the intake documents, and then on the arrest citation issued by the South Fulton Police Department,
Mhm.
it says 1 a.m.
Right. And then we have a report that says 1800 hours, which is 6 p.m., I believe. So obviously
And the
someone
narrative.
did an error on the time on one of these documents. I'm assuming it's the warrant, and I'm gonna go with the report because that would be kind of hard for it to be.
Mr. Walker and Mr. Young, do y'all want to consider a global offer on these two charges, given the discrepancies in all these pleadings?
Your Honor, I
Absolutely.
made a global offer. It was the same. It was pretty much a time served with the balance suspended for both cases.
You want her to plead
And stay away.
guilty, you want her to plead guilty to loitering and prowling in two separate locations with discrepancies in times on the same day. One in South Fulton, one in Alpharetta.
Right, because one's in the
Within-
AM hours and one's in the afternoon, but she doesn't have to. And the defendant stated on the record earlier that she knows exactly how this happened. So I mean, maybe she.
Oh, no,
wants
no,
to
no,
serve her.
I'm not looking at that. I'm just looking at what are the sworn documents that have been filed. Incident report is not a sworn document.
I understand. So yes,
All right.
the time served offer on both of you would like to take it.
All right. Mr. Dotis, your client has a trial date scheduled before Judge Taylor on June 14th at 1:30 p.m. I understand that she's already got other matters holding her at the jail.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I'm not going to take the plea offer in both these cases, and I would recommend that she take these matters both up before Judge Taylor on June 14th. I don't know whether he's handling, but just because of the discrepancy in these pleadings, I am not comfortable accepting this plea offer. Just because I'm not certain what is the correct sequence of events.
Thank you, Your Honor. I understand that. We're fine with that. I will note that I know she has the June 14th date for the position 1 ending in H. For the second loiter and prowl, the one ending in F, I don't see a June 14th date. Is it possible to?
What I'm going to do is have position number 2 transferred to Judge Taylor's division. I'll issue an order there and place it on the same trial calendar with and request that be placed on the same trial calendar as position 1.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's exactly what I was going to ask for. Do you need anything from me to make that happen, or okay?
You just need to contact Judge Taylor's office and make sure that it's done, maybe later this week.
Will do, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
All right. All right, position 1 and 2 are going to be reset for trial before Judge Taylor on June 14th. All right, moving on. Thank you, Ms. Armstrong. Best of luck with your case.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Hayward. I believe she's position add-on 1, and she wanted her attorney to know that she have June 3rd traffic court.
I have Long Powers Robinson shirt. Is it?
Tamia Hayward, Tamaya Hayward.
Got it. Yes, got it. Thank you. Traffic court too, okay. Okay, I believe this was Mr. McLean's client, okay, or was it Mr. Doty's?
This is my client, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. And Miss 1 is 23 CR 002-773J, State versus Tamaya Sayon Hayward. Miss Hayward is accused of criminal trespass and causing damage to property and battery family violence on May 3rd, 2023. This was a matter that was originally going to be heard on a plea on May 19th, but it was reset to today And Ms. Hayward, I'd like to remind you that you have a right to remain silent, and anything you say, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Angelo Dotis. And I'm sorry, Mr. Dotis, you said that she wants to enter a plea of not guilty. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, we would ask to address bonds.
All right. So please submit your waiver of arraignment for this case. And the case is going to be reset for jail jury. And go ahead, let me see, pretrial, Ms. Tyson. Could you refresh us on Ms. Hayward's priors?
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant has 5 arrest cycles. Last arrest was July 2022 in Clayton County for driving without a valid license. No disposition is listed for that. She has a misdemeanor conviction, for willful obstruction, law enforcement officer out of Fulton County. Disposition date on that is, let's see, February of 2012 and 1 FTA. Nothing to add, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dotis, what is the bond request?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Hayward has been in custody for 20 days on a $5,500 surety bond that she's unable to afford. So we would be requesting a signature bond, as we've exhausted all of our options to help Ms. Hayward make her bond. I do have 2 good phone numbers for Ms. Hayward, and I believe we'll be able to maintain contact. She's a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia. The alleged incident occurred at her last address, but she's clear that she cannot return there. And I've provided her with a list of resources to get housing and back on her feet. I also have contacts for her in the area that are going to continue assisting her with phone numbers and making sure that she's able to get back on her feet. She has her GED and is currently working at Swissport Cargo Handlers at the Atlanta airport. She believes that if released in the near future, she can go back where she was a cargo warehouse agent. But as each day goes by, it's less likely that that job will be waiting for her. And she wants to make sure that she has a stable income to afford housing and make sure she's here for all court dates. She's clear based on what we discussed last week that there can be no further contact and she will need to stay away from that address. But I'm confident she can meet those obligations and stay in contact for all of her court dates.
All right, Mr. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement responded to 311 Scott Street. They spoke to the victim, whose name is Judine Hayward, who is the defendant's mother. She reported to the officer that she came home to her bedroom door being damaged and locked. At that time, her daughter verbally accosted her, started to yell at her, started to become irate. At that time, the victim started to record the defendant on her phone. The defendant then proceeded to break her mother's cell phone and attack her. The officer did observe visible scratches to Ms. Hayward's face. We do have contact with the victim. She stated that she does not want her daughter to return. She is fearful of her, and she has been receiving medical treatment because ever since the attack, she has had blurred vision. We will ask that the bond remain as said. There has been no significant changes in the defendant's circumstances. Nothing further at this time.
Has there been any response from the alleged victim?
Yeah, we spoke to the victim. About what?
About this bond modification request?
Well, I'm sure that she would not be in agreement with it. She stated that she is very fearful. She does not want her daughter to return home and that she has blurred vision as a result of this attack.
All right.
And she also has additionally taken out a TPO order.
Oh, she has? Okay.
Yes.
Do you know if it's been granted?
That I would have to search Odyssey for.
Okay. Mr. Dotis, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Given the number of cycles that Ms. Hayward has had, her last arrest was for driving without a valid license, a traffic matter back in 2022. And a prior issue dealing with an altercation with an officer was in 2012. I'm going to modify the bond to a $2,500 surety bond. No further contact with Judine Hayward, and to stay away from 311 Scott Street in Southwest Atlanta. She is not permitted to return to the location. There's going to be no one-time visit. If she makes bond within 30 days of being released, she must update the court with her new address. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, can you break down the bond, please?
Mr. Dodis is going to be sending you a proposed order. Did you want me to repeat it?
No, ma'am, I got it.
Okay, thank you.
2,500 amended.
Yeah, and this is going to be further notice for jail jury. Next case, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we have position 7, Angel Long.
This is State versus Angel Adrienne Long, case number 23 CR 002-729A. Ms. Long, you've been accused of disorderly conduct, simple battery, willful obstruction of an officer from a May 1st, 2023 incident. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say about the facts of your case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and your counsel is going to be Mr. Dodis. Mr. Dodis, you said that your client wanted to be present when you announced a not guilty plea. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. For position 1 on the add-on calendar, we will be entering a plea of not guilty and waiving arraignment. I did propose a counter offer for position 7. If Mr. Walker wants to respond.
I'm sorry, I won't be able to accept the counter offer. I don't know if you want to do a breakout room, but there are some MH concerns that the state has that we'd like to address, but I'll leave that to counsel.
Then I would request a breakout room.
All right, Mr. Dodis, let me just see. Deputy Milton, do you have any other cases to be addressed at ACDC?
No, this is it for SAP.
Okay.
She's the last one.
All right, and so we're going to put her on hold while Mr. Dodis consults with Mr. Walker. Y'all can do you need Miss ACDC in the breakout as well?
Well, I really wanted to make the court aware of my MH concerns.
Okay, so then I'll go into a breakout. Mr. Dodis will need to be in a separate.
And I have my laptop because there are people in courtroom too. I'll step out if someone could put PD Angela Dodis in there.
All right. Let's go ahead and proceed with that, please. Deputy Milton, just hold for 5 minutes. We'll just less than that, actually, less than that, but.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Jordan or Miss Grace, could you place Mr. Walker, myself, and Mr. Dodis in a separate breakout? He will be on his laptop. Okay. All right, we are addressing Miss Angel Adrian Long. She's got one case on the add-on calendar as well as the case that we have on our main SAP calendar. Both cases are going to be reset to June 1st at 11 a.m. pending further investigation into the issues regarding whether this case needs to be transferred to the competency calendar or whether it stays on the SAP calendar. So in the meantime, Mr. Dotis, you are going to submit a waiver of arraignment with regards to both cases and further notice these to jail jury. Like I said, I'm going to put it on the June 1st, 11 a.m. calendar, pending whatever information you discover. So if you decide that you're going to entertain a plea at that time, that'll be great. If you're going to consider other options that may be available to the defendant, that would also be your prerogative.
Understood. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Long. Your attorney will be speaking with you shortly. Thank you.
We'll talk soon, Ms. Long.
Deputy Milton, we have concluded with Ms. Long's case. And Mr. Jordan and Ms. Grace, if we can mute ACDC, please. All right, courtroom 2. Deputy Milton? I'm not sure where she is. Mr. Jordan, you can close out ACDC. I think we've concluded all the cases. You can remove them from the Zoom. All right, we're going back to courtroom 2. All right, Mr. Doris, who are we addressing next?
I'm not sure who else is on the calendar, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. McLean, did he have any other clients to be addressed?
I think we might be finished.
We're done.
What's
right.
the position number 10? What's the status?
Was he the loan out to the?
Yes, this is the one in Tennessee Federal Custody. Mr. McLean, any announcement?
Your Honor, we have several times this week left messages for the federal defender who is representing him in a matter up there. That's why he's there on loan out. They're going to have either a trial or some major court proceeding in June. He has an open case in Fulton County as well. And I'm trying to find out if our Fulton County felony attorneys have had any contact with him while he's dealing with his main thing, which is the federal matter in the Knoxville area.
Okay, I'm going to further notice this to the SAP calendar on June 6th.
Well, Your Honor, do we need to keep on SAP? Has he been arraigned? Yeah, do we not?
I don't know.
Let
me check.
I have no idea. It's 2016 when it is alleged to have occurred.
Let me check that.
2017 when it filed.
And well, if you just let me finish, please. I was going to reset him to a June 6th SAP calendar for Mr. McLean to consider a plea in absentia if that's something that his client would like to do for the 2016 matter. That's the only reason why I was setting it out there, to give him ample time to reach out to him, to speak to him, convey the state's offer on this 2016 case, and to see whether he would like to consider a plea in absentia. So, but I'm just throwing out that idea. Mr. McLean, what do you think?
That's fine. It's somewhat similar to someone, when I was in Judge Taylor's courtroom, we had somebody in a federal prison in Alderson, West Virginia, which has a very interesting history, by the way. And it was the same charge and they did a plea in absentia. So we're familiar with that. And if you'd like to do that, that's fine, but I've never met it.
All right. Well, are you able to communicate with him while he's in the Tennessee detention facility?
If I can't get hold of him through his federal defender, I'm going to continue to try to just call the facility and ask one of the prison counselors to get him on a phone with me.
Okay. Mr. Walker, that was the purpose for the 2-week reset. Do you have any comment?
I'll defer to the court.
All right. Mr. McLean, I wish you the best, and if you can, otherwise this case is going to be hanging out there in addition to his other matters in the pot. Okay? June 6th, for a possible plea and censure. Otherwise, Mr. McLean, you can file a waiver of arraignment and we can schedule this for trial with his other, well, whenever we can reach it, because otherwise we're not going to put it back on the SAP.
Sure, and Your Honor is well aware, I can't do anything without meeting him first, so I'll find out.
All right, thank you. Okay, that is the announcement for position number 10. Are there any other announcements I have to go over? Melissa, you good?
Yes, ma'am, I'm good.
All right, Mr. Dotis, Mr. Walker, are you okay with the calendar as it now sits?
All well.
All right, okay, folks, then that concludes the SAP calendar. And y'all will resume at 2 o'clock with C. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.